Hey guys, EDDBUD here and welcome back to the channel. Today I've got a trail shoe review for you, the Hoka One One Torrent 2. Orange is a colour that reminds me of many things. A tasty fruit, often consumed by footballers at half-time. The Dutch international soccer team, of course. And most importantly, Uri Geller during the Euro 96 football tournament. You'll remember when he used the power of his mind to move the ball just before Gary McAllister was going to take that famous penalty against England. But can it provide similar results while running? Let's find out. So initial review today on the Torrent 2 from Hoka One One. A few specs for you first. This one weighs in my UK size 11.5 at 297 grams. That's approximately 10.1 ounces. So quite a lightweight trail shoe really. We got a 5mm drop here and quite a reasonable stack height, 26mm in the heel and 21mm in the forefoot. Enough of these numbers though. How does it feel? So today was pretty much a recovery day for me really. I got a long run tomorrow, 15 miles, so I don't want to push things too hard, and this shoe is perfect for me. First run in the Torrent 2s, roughly 8 minutes 4 seconds per mile over just over 6 miles, so nothing too crazy today, just enough to give the Torrent 2 a good opportunity to shine. It was a bit of a stop-start run really, lots of people out strolling with their dogs, even though it was very early morning, and parts of that trail are very narrow, so to maintain social distancing a few times I just had to stop and either go back on certain sections or literally keep right out of the way over to the side of the trail. But taking all that into account, it's kind of a blessing in disguise really to do some slightly slower miles, more manageable pace, so the legs have got a little bit more energy left in them for tomorrow. We'll start with the upper first. So a one-piece engineered mesh upper here, there's no seams, nothing, it just goes right the way round. Quite interesting actually, I don't know how they even go about creating something like that. It does have this reinforced transparent section that goes all the way around the edge of the shoe, just at the section where the upper joins the midsole. I guess there to provide a little bit of protection while you're out there on the trails, and perhaps also stop water and some moist kind of soil hitting up against the upper and getting inside. The overlay almost looks a little bit like sellotape or cellophane tape that goes around the very edge there. It seems to be a little thicker almost at the very front section of the toe box here. Hoka keeping it very simple here, just with their logo and then the bird on the reverse side. I actually find this upper a little thinner compared to the Clifton 7 that I've been testing out over the last couple of weeks. I find it probably comparable in terms of breathability, maybe even a little bit better actually than the Clifton 7. Really am quite surprised just how nimble the shoe does feel. Yeah, we're up there towards 300 grams with this shoe, but certainly in terms of the upper, it just feels a lot more refined than the Clifton. It's far less excess upper. I'm having to cinch the laces far less. Doesn't feel like the parts of the upper here, the sides are having to be cinched together loads to get a good lockdown. The toe box does have a bit of ventilation here, there's some holes cut out. I didn't find the shoe overly warm. It's a very humid day today, even early on. Though I noticed that the trail, soil and mud and grime has taken its toll on the upper already. There's this section here that where it got wet, it actually looked a completely different colour to the section that was underneath the transparent overlay. It got quite a bit darker, looked a little odd. That's not really a problem to me, but it might be to some people. I managed to get a superb lockdown. I did use a runner's knot today. Those laces do feel a little stronger, they're a little more coarse perhaps. Not a lot of give in them, but superb lockdown. I didn't have to think about it for a second. As I say, the upper on the Torrent 2 is nowhere near as generous in terms of the material as the Clifton 7. A much more appropriate amount of room inside the shoe. Didn't feel like my toes had too much room, just spot on. I really like the heel collar, nowhere near as high as the one in the Clifton 7. Quite low profile shoe actually once you've got your foot inside it. Enough padding there, didn't really feel this sort of section of the shoe at all. I think perhaps my only slight reservation in the upper after my initial run would be the amount of padding in the tongue. Just seems a little bit like overkill to me. I can imagine that tongue soaking up quite a bit of moisture and water if you're out there on a very wet day. But great lockdown, a very breathable shoe and striking appearance. All in all, one of the better uppers that I've tried of recent time. I'm going to give this one a 2.7 out of 3 after my initial run for upper. Midsole now. So we got Profly foam in the midsole here. I have tried Profly X, which was in the Carbon X. I found that really firm. I didn't really find that at all engaging. But the foam here in the Torrent 2 is a different story. Quite a bit of cushion here in the heel area and a much more responsive ride up in the midfoot and the forefoot. It does feel very different in hand, the foam. Far more firm feeling in the forefoot. That's very hard to say. And then much more squish there back in the heel. Quite apparent really on my first run. Though I kept paces to a manageable level, these felt really nimble on foot. Actually very exhilarating when running on gravel in these. Midsole foam here is far more responsive than the EVA stuff used in the Clifton 7. Vastly more cushioned underfoot feel here. Really enjoyed it. I think the lower stack height here in this Hoka shoe does work better for my running style. Certainly a very nice stable underfoot feel on a variety of different surfaces today. I did check up and see what other shoes in the Hoka line use this midsole material. It does look like the Mach 3 uses it, and there's quite a few similarities actually between this shoe and the Mach 3. Quite a few nods to that one in the upper, and certainly the profile of the shoe overall. Almost looks like this is a trail version of that shoe, but it certainly felt very nimble underfoot. I was really impressed actually, and quite surprised. I didn't expect it to feel that cushioned. So for the lighter trails in my area of the UK, I think a really good option, very forgiving, but responsive and nimble when required. Certainly an improvement over the Terra Kaiga that I tried out last year. So for midsole, after my initial run, I'm going to give this a 2.5 out of 3. Outsole now. Look at that crazy outsole. Have you seen anything like it? Kind of looks a little bit like a marble. Lugs in abundance here on the outsole of the Torrent 2. Very sticky sort of rubber as well. It's quite malleable. You can sort of move it around a little bit there. There's some give to it. It's not too hard, so if you're running to the trail that you're going to actually run on, then it doesn't feel too out of the ordinary. Through mud and compacted dirt, they hold firm with enough rubber there to sort of dig into the ground surface. Really did feel great actually on that softer compacted dirt. Felt like it was really gripping in. I had some good push off. On gravel and some loose stones, the outsole really did feel like it granted some good traction. Though I did note a few sharper rocks poking through to my foot. There is no rock plate here in this shoe, so that could be a bit of a deal breaker for you if you run a lot on some gravel or very sharp or angular rocks. The trail area where I ran earlier, there's loads of exposed tree roots and things like that. No problems here, it was more than up to the task. So perhaps not advisable for more technical types of trails. As I mentioned, the lugs aren't that deep that it feels odd running on road or pavement in these. So pretty good in terms of traversing across to any trails that might be nearby to you. Overall, traction and grip, good, but only dry terrain tested so far. No rain for several days now, so I'll need to hang fire a little bit in terms of giving a more in-depth rating for outsole. But so far, no major problems here. Didn't feel unstable in any way, and lots of grip and traction. So a 2.5 out of 3 for outsole after my initial run. Value now. At only £110, I think these are a really good value option. Trail shoes go up to ridiculous amounts these days, well as do road shoes as well. But I think a very attractive option for those looking for a more light trail shoe. I think the Torrent 2's got some great value here, especially with the inclusion of that Profly midsole material. I found it much more enjoyable than Hoka's standard EVA midsole material that they've placed into shoes recently. It's just more energy return there. Really enjoyed the lower stack. I think probably breathable enough for warmer days, though there's lots and lots of competition in this kind of price area for trail shoes. Nike, Asics, New Balance all have their own versions. I can only speak from my experience in the Terra Kaiga 5 from last year, and I much enjoy the ride in the Torrent 2 over that one. I don't think it's going to be for everybody. If you really desire masses of cushion, certainly in the heel, this isn't the shoe to go for. But I found it really responsive, and I really enjoyed the fact that it was a bit lighter. Actually lighter than the Clifton 7. I think if you're looking for a shoe that's a little quicker, a little more nimble, with less stack underfoot, this could be the one for you. No qualms about fit either. True to size for me. I think it looks great too. A fantastic profile. So for value, after my initial run, I'll give this one 2.6 out of 3. did see online a couple of people have had real issues with the bottom separating here, the outsole separating from the midsole there, but no issues today. A very, very promising initial review for the Torrent 2 from Hoka One One. If you've got any opinions and thoughts on this one, please let me know in the comments below. Time for a musical interlude. I've been back listening to John Fogerty recently. He's been banging out loads of great videos over the last few weeks with his band of family members. They've done versions of Fortunate Son, Bad Moon Rising, Centre Field, Hot Rod Heart as well. It's loads of great tracks. He sounds as good as ever as well, voice is in fine form and his guitar playing as good as ever. I believe it's his family as the band members, and I think it might be his wife filming the stuff as well. It just sounds awesome. Do go and check him out. One of the real greats, a real legend, John Fogerty. Hope you've enjoyed the review today, guys. Thanks for watching through to the very end. I do appreciate it. Quite often I do a premiere as the actual launch of the video, and I'll be in the chat chatting away to people. There's some people that are always there actually. Stevie76, Mr. Random, Mr. J's always in there, Gavin Braden, Frank LaHoulier, he's always in on the chat for the video premieres. I really do appreciate your support, and Joe Mullen as well. Those guys are always in. You guys have been viewing actually for a long time. I just wanted to say a big thanks. I do appreciate it, and I hope you get lots of enjoyment out of the videos here. If you haven't done so already, hit that subscribe button and make sure that you click the bell for notifications of when we launch the new videos. It helps the channel out a huge amount if you give this a thumbs up and share it with your running buddies. My name is EDDBUD, and I'll be seeing you. I always run past it, but today I think I'll run up it. Okay. Oh, it's an absolute killer, but rewarded with a good view, certainly.